So, welcome to Don't Follow the Shepherd. This is a relatively new show. I launched it in February and I've added several episodes since, but I'm getting better at the podcasting thing. And I have a lot of podcasters like Beck on the show, but I'll formally introduce her in a second. This was inspired by my more or less eclectic career journey and the journeys of other people that I knew and know, including friends and clients and others. And a lot of people have taken unconventional and unexpected vocational detours. Some were influenced by circumstance, some their own psychological and spiritual growth, some by a combination of both. Mine probably falls in that category. And then others kind of discovered early on that should is the most dangerous word in our vocabulary, or at least I think it is. And these are people who have never really succumbed to peer or parental pressures. So today I'd like to introduce Sydney-based Beck Thompson, the founding dating and relationship consultant and coach at the Relationship Circle. The credentialed therapist and life coach also hosts the Relationship Circle podcast and has offered several books, including a #1 international bestseller. Um, right off the bat, I'd like your take. I know we talked about this a bit before, I think, but your take on dating apps. Um, Dating apps are like the scourge of society because I hear people, rarely do I hear people say a good thing about them. Maybe they become a necessity, but women seem overwhelmed by them, certainly in Los Angeles. Men seem frustrated by them. And I thought maybe we could start there and then we'll go back and go deeper.
For sure. First of all, thanks for having me. I'm really grateful to be
Sure.
here. Dating apps, I mean, I hear good things about them. Maybe that's because that's all I talk about with people all day, every day. But I think that they need a revamp, for one. I think that a lot of people are kind of over. What you've got with dating apps is you've got a giant raft of people in one spot, right? So it's going to, regardless of what you put in your filters, you're still going to have this giant pool of people that you're searching through. So you're always going to have these moments that don't really offer up what you're looking for, if that makes sense. So I have some clients that have incredibly successful times with them and they get great match after great match after great match, and other clients that just get the worst matches and are over it and get burnt out. And I honestly cannot tell the difference between what those two do. I think there's certain things you can do before you get on dating apps to make it more successful than other people. But sometimes it's just the algorithm and whether apps are meant for you or not.
Right, right. Yeah, I probably will refrain from going into my personal experience. I've had some good time, and I've been on them in different cities. I think it depends on where you're located. Again, how open you are, because I think the more open people are, the more the algorithm is going to serve them because they tend to swipe on people outside of their general target, if you will.
Mm,
And
mm,
so, and the reason I know a little more about this is I've had some of my own experience, but I also consulted some of these dating apps in the marketing space. And
hmm
I have a bit of a sense of these algorithm driven products or services. Um, so, the other thing I wanted to ask you is social media in general.
mm,
People have such great access to to former flings and
mm,
ex-partners and former significant others. And then they have a whole new access to the world and 8 billion people or however many people are on these apps. So it makes it uh, people have been they know that they can find more people than ever before, and so that those of us who are not digitally native, it's kind of a different world. For those who are, I suppose it's different. So,
mm.
what's your take on the impact of social media just on relationships?
Yeah, look, I think it can be super destructive because I think that, again, like dating apps and social media, right? You're right. You've got this vast range of humans that you have access to. And back in the day when you'd go to date, you'd go out and you'd have three people, or maybe you'd choose between them and cool, whichever was the best one, you'd go with them. And now there's like millions of people at your fingertips. So I think that that can be dangerous in terms of comparison. I think it can be dangerous in terms of access and what people are on this search for, like what is perfect. Like, let me look for, you don't have everything I want, so let me go and try and find someone else that has everything that I want. And I'm not saying you can't have everything you want, but you got to be specific with like what are your deal breakers and what would you compromise on, because you yourself are not perfect. So you can't go out there searching for perfection. So I think that it has to be used with like a lot of strategy and a lot of thought gone into it. I think when you're present about what you're doing on social media, I think it can be great because it's a way to access people that you couldn't normally. And say, like, I work with a lot of single mothers, so dating apps are actually great for them because they don't have a lot of time to go out. And social media is great for them because they don't have a lot of time to go out. But you've got to be strategic about it. You can't just go on there and swipe, 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 because I think that that kind of, I feel like for me, even that feels like it kills my soul. When I get in those modes where I'm swiping, I'm like, oh, I feel empty inside. Get off. Like, there's nothing here.
Well, I do think that people, if the same people are swiped on, if as I've learned or understood from someone else telling me is who is in the tech space, that the same group of people are highly targeted or sought after. And so, for example, if guys are swiping on, are if most guys are swiping on the same cohort, then that guy doesn't necessarily stand out to the algorithm, right? Like
Mm,
he's not doing himself any favors unless he's ultra competitive. Uh,
mm.
so I don't know. That's a whole that gets into a whole nother uh, can of worms. Um, you mentioned I kind of want to go back to that, but you also mentioned the first year blues in a relationship.
Mm,
I saw somewhere. And
hmm
I never encountered first year blues. I've
hmm
encountered subsequent year blues. What are first year blues? Forgive my naivete.
Yeah, so in my mind, it's when you get over, like you have this kind of honeymoon period in a relationship. And I suppose it's because I talk about this in the context of I work with clients generally over the age of like 33, 35. And so they generally get into relationships quicker and stuff happens quicker. They move in quicker, they get they just know quicker that they like the person or not. And so they hit what you'd call like a power struggle pretty early on in their relationship where they're, um, the honeymoon period's kind of faded away, the rose-colored glasses fade away, and the real humans are there in front of each other. And that's when they have to learn how to compromise with each other, how to do conflict with each other, how to do communicate. And people aren't always the best at these skills. What I've encountered in my career is certainly a lot of people have no idea how to communicate, they have no idea how to do conflict, not productively, and they don't know how to express their needs in a positive way and get what they need from the other person and have this like healthy relationship. It feels like healthy relationships can be quite rare. So I think that in this first year is this like, is this person for me? Are they not? Like, I think once you make it through that first year, it's almost like the first year after you have a kid together as well. That can be so rough. Like, again, it adds another dynamic into the relationship and shifts everything up. So it's just a struggle sometimes in the first year around, is this person for me? Have I picked right? Do I stay with them because I've picked them and I'm going to get into this like sunk cost fallacy with them? Or do I continue and we're happy and we work through what's going on with us?
Got it. Um, it's interesting. I think that going back a bit to the social media conversation, people are people are influenced by social media not only in terms of the accessibility they have to so many people, but to the negative messaging that they get, let's say around dating. For
Hmm
example, high-end matchmakers who are, put out there in the universe this notion that uh, we have super high value candidates, blah blah blah. They check off all these boxes, blah blah blah. They're reinforcing the very narratives that are so harmful to
hmm
society and dating in particular. And so that's a whole nother thing that people have to reconcile. Uh, the other thing is, I think, and maybe you can speak to this as a therapist, is that the people who are going to be judgmental of other people, the people who are judgmental of themselves are often going to be highly judgmental. Sorry, the people who are judgmental of themselves are often going to be highly judgmental of other people, and I
Hmm.
don't think they recognize that, right? And
Hmm.
so, for example, this presents in the dating profiles people who, the first thing out of the box that they say is, "I don't want this," or,
Mm.
"If you're this, I'm not looking for you." Well,
Yeah.
that negative energy, I didn't understand this until I healed a bit more myself, and it's been a long journey, but that kind of negative energy is just it's off-putting. Now maybe some people can get away with that, right? But uh it's something that I've worked on. The old saying is the most important relationship is your relationship with yourself, but this is where it comes into play, where
Mm.
you work on, your own self-judgment, and that frees you up to be less judgmental of other people. But I think
Mm.
that's one of the hardest, it sounds so simple, but it's one of the hardest things to do. And you talk about this, right? The insecurities that people bring into relationships are often far more important. In other words, they don't know why they're not finding the right people, but they're the problem.
Mm. Yeah.
Or am I putting words in your mouth?
No, no, I completely agree. And I have to go back to please, if you're putting the negative things on your profile, stop. Because it's like it's advertising one, your trauma up front for everybody
Right.
to see. Hello, like I've
Right.
been cheated on in the past, or I have like, and also it's just, it's never going to get you what you want. Like everybody knows in the like coaching community, I suppose, that if you're going to put out your what negatively what you want in your goals, you're going to get the negative thing. Like the brain doesn't hear the negative part before it. They've done so many studies on this. So please don't put, I don't want F boys. I don't want emotionally unavailable. I don't want men who are going to cheat on me. Like that's so irrelevant on your profile because honestly, what you're going to get is the men that like a challenge and are going to go, "Oh, let me give that a go."
Right. Right.
Like you're never going to get people that respect you and go, "Okay, cool. I love that."
Like a classic one is, as though it's almost slightly original. If you're married or not over someone else, don't reach out to me. Like, why
Yeah.
even bother putting that? Where's the upside of putting that? Uh, you need to be attracting healthier people, and
Hmm.
you need to put that energy out there. Energy is
Yeah.
important. Um,
Yeah.
spiritual site from a psycho spiritual perspective, that is really important stuff.
Yeah. That is the work. Like that is the whole work. I think you're exactly right when like often women will come to me because they want to find love and all the work that we're doing on is them finding love within themselves because once they've found that they'll find love. Like the problem isn't like it's the problem isn't the apps. The problem isn't where do I find I often have women say, but where do I find him? I'm like, that is not the issue. Like if we work on what is actually underneath the issue, the beliefs, the subconscious things that are happening in there that make you think that you're not worthy enough or that you don't deserve that or whatever, then we're going to get to find the person because people are everywhere.
yeah, exactly. And another thing is this suggestion. Again, right out of the gate, someone might say, "I never thought I would be on one of these apps."
Mm,
Well, that's not bringing positive energy to a potential correspondence, right? Because
mm,
you're like, what are you? You're too good, and you're just
hmm.
like, where the rest, like where what you've settled for. I mean,
Yeah.
these veiled judgments are just as bad as these more overt ones, right?
Yep.
So sorry, I tend to talk too much. Go ahead. Whoa.
No, no, no. Yeah, I think you're completely right. Um, it's just so interesting when I have clients that have done the work on themselves and like I've seen like this was really cool. I had a client last year who did like just kept working on herself, on her self-worth, on her boundaries, on her self, like the way she felt about herself. And I watched the type of men that she attracted into her life dramatically change, like literally date after date after date. They like stepped it up, became of more of what she wanted because she was doing the work. Like it was a mirror, it was a complete mirror of her. And it just, that was like early on when I did this work, actually, it was a few years ago, and I was like, wow, this works. Like even I was like, wow, when you do the work on yourself, this is what works. You get the mirror back.
Yeah, this comes to another question or topic. There are lots of dating coaches out there, lots of divorce coaches out there. In fact, divorce coaching is becoming very
It's
popular.
huge, isn't it? Yeah.
But as a therapist, you bring a lot to the table because not every divorce or relationship coach has this background, right? And so some of them haven't worked on themselves, right?
Yeah.
They're trying to, but and good on them for there was an Aussie expression for trying to help other people. But I think having a background in spirituality or a clinical field is also very helpful, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Look, coaching still is an unregulated industry. And like I see ads all the time for like $7 and get your coaching certification. And I almost fall off my chair every time because I'm like, this is wild that you can do a week-long course and come out and call yourself a coach and have not worked on yourself. And like I'm very grateful for the work that I have in mental health and, because there's certain clients that if they reached out to me, it wouldn't be appropriate for me to work with them. I would refer them to a psychologist. Like, so, but I don't think a lot of coaches have that knowledge or that understanding of what is within their realm of work, like what is safe for them to work with. And these are people's lives. So I think that that's really important to know what is okay for you, like who you can work with and who you can't.
Yeah, no, I mean, I experienced that because someone suggested that I get into some coaching way back when, because I had a real interest in psychoeducation
Hmm.
around family systems. But the interesting thing is that people would reach out to me and I wasn't prepared to help them because I didn't know all the nuanced aspects of working with the client outside of the education component, right?
Mm,
So that put me I felt uncomfortable. Not only was I concerned about their well-being, but I was uncomfortable that I wasn't well trained or trained enough to help them. So there's a difference between having an acumen, a knowledge base and having some professional training regarding the etiquette and the conduct and the interaction. Like building a therapeutic relationship is, like these are some nuanced things that I didn't have training in.
mm,
Uh,
mm,
that being said, these are the kind of things that people take off the internet. They study stuff and they do
mm,
develop a wealth of information. But
mm,
engaging with the client on something very sensitive in that way is a whole different
mm.
story. So
Yeah. Mm,
I definitely appreciate that.
mm.
What are in one of your books you talk about the guide to fixing things. Which was the title of that? You have several publications. I think you said, oh, in the dating playbook, six
Hmm.
reasons dating is not working for you and how to fix them. Uh,
Mm.
what are two things that you would share with the audience?
First of all, I read that so long ago. I'm like, I don't know what's in there. Let me have a think about what we would fix.
Well, you can just make it up, or we don't know until we read it.
Yeah, so I could give you two additional things, or they could even be in here.
Okay.
So I think that working on like one, your boundaries is really important. Like, what are the things that you're okay with and not okay with? I work with a lot of women who don't know how to say no, who don't know how to express what they're okay with and not okay with. And this is like across their life. So it's something that you need to work on within like friendships, family, dating. And sometimes dating is a little bit easier because they're new people into your life. So if you can start, so a good boundary is like, let's say you're chatting to someone on the internet and they keep calling you love or babe or something, and you're like, I don't like that. I'd rather you just call me Beck. Like that's your boundary, right? So expressing that early on, how that person responds to that boundary is like everything. If they say, "Oh my gosh, of course, like I didn't realize you didn't like that name. I'll call you Beck from now on." Cool. Or if they go, "Oh, don't be ridiculous. I was just having fun." Like, come like that is a very key indicator of how the relationship is going to continue. So I would not continue to date that person, right? They have no respect for your boundaries. So getting to know what your boundaries are and making sure you can work on enforcing them early on. And boundaries aren't walls. It doesn't mean you have to have all these walls up around you. It's about how you tell people what you're okay with and not okay with. So I think that's really important. And I think it's really important. This I don't think this is in the book because it's probably deeper work, but it's really important to work on the beliefs that you have around dating. So like dating apps are no good, or there's no good men out there, or I have a single mum I work with who often thinks no one's going to want a mum with three kids, you know, and but yet I have other mums where the guy meets them and they want the three kids. So
Right.
it's like that's just a belief, right? So like working on the beliefs that are getting in your way of finding love is key. Like that's the probably the number one thing you need to do.
Yeah, it struck me when you just said that. That's another one of these phrases that people say. There are no good men out there. Well, if
Hmm.
you keep putting that messaging out, like I'll see people literally put that on social media. People are reading that, consuming that, and it's like
Yeah,
uh it's not discerning. It's such a judgmental thing to put out
yeah,
in the universe. And it's
totally.
wow, who are you to say that? So
They
well,
don't even
you don't want to
believe
get
it
me,
though. Like
you don't want me to get me triggered on my own shows.
half the time when women say that to me, there's no good men out there, and I go, really? Like, let's think about the men in your life. Like, you might not want to date them, but like, I don't know, have you got brothers? Have you got co-workers? Have it like they don't even believe what they're saying. It's just this like often it's not even their belief. Like they've just
Right.
picked it up from someone or somewhere, or and they just regurgitate it like they own this belief, and it's getting in their way.
Yeah, there are some memes that you do not want to say out loud that you
Yeah.
read. Now, one other question. What this notion of people date using online service, what are the chances these days that people still meet not only in an or quote unquote organic way, and I hate to say that even because to
Mm,
me dating
mm,
online is just as normal as any other way. It's just another avenue, right? I'm not
hmm, hmm,
judging it. But what are the chances that people meet in an, let's say, traditional way where they become friends first, they're working together or they're involved in some community activity together, they get to know each other, and then it
mm.
gradually turns into romance. Does that even happen anymore?
I
Or
think it's coming back. I
okay,
really think it's coming back because I think people are over online stuff. Like people are getting a bit over apps. They're getting a bit over online events. They're on Zoom or like since COVID, everyone was on Zoom all the time. People just want to meet organically. And I certainly in Australia, there's more and more dating events face to face coming out. I see them all the time spreading up, popping up. The the tricky part I will say is for my clients that are like over 35 to 50, there's not a lot of events out there. And there's also not a lot of events not centered around drinking. So that if anyone out there wants to start some, that would be great. But I think people want to become friends sometimes first. So I often encourage clients to like, what is a hobby that you have? Like go meet people through that. Like if religion's a big thing to you, is there like church groups that you can find? Is there volunteering that you can do? Who is at your work? Tell your friends that you're single. Ask them to set you up. Like there's people absolutely everywhere. And I think people forget that. Like you can bump into someone in the street and marry them in 20 years' time. Like there is no rule around where you find a human, right? So I think you just have to be open to the possibility of meeting someone somewhere. I think the issue is that most people walk around on their phone, headphones in, head down, don't say hi. I know certainly when I say hi to people, I used to live in Sydney. I'm now just 3 hours out of Sydney. And people here are more friendly and will say hi to you. And when I go back to Sydney and I say hi, people look at me like I'm an alien if I say hi to a stranger because they don't like, why are you talking to me? Like, and this is insane to me. I'm like, why do we not say hi to strangers? Like, I get clients to practice. If you're catching the bus to work, strike up a conversation with someone at the bus stop. Not if you're going to date them, anyone. Just
right,
learn the art of conversation again.
exactly. The It's so true. In LA, I sometimes I'll walk down the street just to test the market. I don't mean the dating market. I mean just the people market. Like, hi, hello, nice to see, just nod, acknowledge that someone exists by just not,
Yeah.
simple things. One thing I wanted to ask you, so there's this new app. God, I should get paid for this. There's this new app called Time Left. Are you familiar with Time Left? Because
Yeah.
they have it in Sydney and I assume in Melbourne, maybe Cairns, not Cairns, maybe Canberra. There's my American accent. That site is great because you meet five strangers every week. Yeah, you should look at it. You meet five
Yeah,
strangers.
I feel like I have it on Instagram, maybe, but I haven't looked into it. So tell me. This sounds
People don't
great.
like the name of it. It was started by a Parisian, and I think it first launched in maybe Lisbon, Portugal, and now it's in metro centers, most metropolitan areas. Every
Okay.
Wednesday night throughout the globe, people are meeting five strangers for dinner. And it's kind of amazing because I've had a great time on it. We're wary of people we meet on social media. This is no screening process whatsoever. You just meet five total strangers.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to converse in person. I'm not saying I'm good at it, but I like to. And you just have these conversations, and I've met a lot of people that way. In LA, because it's such a big city, it's hard to meet people. There's less of a sense of community. I mean, people don't
Mm.
realize how big Los Angeles is. Anyways,
Mm.
it's a great it's a great site. You should
Amazing.
do it for your clients.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So, anyways, well, thank you so much. I know you're what, 18 hours ahead these days?
I
16,
don't know. It's 9:30 in the morning.
9:30. Oh my God, if okay, I can't do the math.
Neither.
Where can people find you? I want to have you back to talk about more topics. Um,
Yeah, sure.
what what uh what are what are some of the links? Well, your website, therelationshipcircle.com, right?
Yeah, yeah. And I'm the Relationship Circle on Instagram, on TikTok. My podcast is called The Relationship Circle. So I think if you just search that, you'll find me.
Oh, the other thing, you have a master class.
I do, yeah.
Can
Yeah, I
you talk about
do.
that briefly?
Yeah, I've got a master class, a two night master two night a 2 day event master class goes for 3 hours a night. And that's really like it's a lot of information. We do a lot on attachment styles, we do a lot on boundaries, we do a lot on why you keep repeating the same patterns in dating and kind of how to stop that. It's a big event. Last time I ran it was last August, so I'm running it again on the 1st and 2nd of July. It is in an Australian time zone, so it is 6 to 9 p.m. Australian time. But I have a lot of American clients, so I do want to run another one that for a time that will suit Americans. So if you're interested, just message me on Instagram so I know that people are interested in America, and then I can run one on that time zone as well for probably your night time as well in my morning. It's an easy time that suits. Yeah, it's a really great masterclass. It's interactive if you want it to be. But every time I've run it, it's for women. But the women that I get in the group are like they feel like they know each other because they're all going through the same stuff. And it's so cool to see people be like, oh my gosh, I'm not alone in this. Like, I feel like they learn more from the other women in the room than from
Right.
me. And just the aha moments are very cool to see because people realize, oh my goodness, that's what's getting in my way. That's the one thing I need to change to have dating be successful for me. So
Right.
it's really cool.
Well, great. Well, thank you for joining us. I'd love to have you back on. Check out her website. Her books and resources are all on there, all the links. Um, Beck Thompson, thank you from 3 hours
Thank you.
outside Sydney now. We will talk to you soon, and I will share the link with you. So thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Okay, talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Whoop.